And we're ready to leave this week behind and rest up over the weekend. But before we can do that, there's one more thing we need to check off our to-do list. We are ready to serve you some of this week's hottest topics with humor, spiciness, feistiness, all the nesses you can think about. But most of all, our characteristic honesty that has gotten us through some difficult conversations on this show. So, welcome one, welcome all. This is Hot Topics Friday, and we're ready to go. Play the montage. Our first topic highlights the story of Mercy Olugbenga, who was just 20 years old when she made the decision to leave Nigeria for Libya. She had dropped out of university, her mother was sick, and with few opportunities in sight, she thought a job abroad would change everything. And it did, but not in the way she thought. Now, in her desperation, her family even sold property to fund the trip. But instead of the greener pasture she hoped for, Mercy walked into modern-day slavery. For 4 years, she worked without pay, shuffled from one job to another, and was eventually locked away in a house by her Libyan employer. For over a year, she was trapped behind bolted doors and iron gates, cut off from the world. Olugbenga also described how Africans like her were dehumanized, seen as rivals or threats, and treated as less than human. By the time she was finally rescued and brought back home, she was broken but alive. Now, standing in Nigeria again, she has one message: don't take the same path. Don't let desperation push you into the trap she barely escaped. Let's hear from her.
No matter the situation, don't leave the country. Because due to my own situation, I was like, maybe when I get here, I'll be able to send something more. But when I got even 5 letters, I couldn't even sit to send some. She died.
Well, sadly, her story is not an isolated case because according to the International Organization of Migration, that's IOM, nearly 20,200 Nigerians have been voluntarily returned from Libya and other countries since 2017, and the vast majority of them, women and girls. And yet, the Japa wave continues, driven by poverty, unemployment, and a lack of faith in the system at home. So many questions that we need to answer, as a country. What keeps pushing young Nigerians into these dangerous journeys despite all the warnings? How can government do more than just repatriate victims? How do we create opportunities that keep them safe at home? And as Olugbenga's story shows, what responsibility does society have to tell the truth about what really waits on the other side of irregular migration? Because behind every statistic is a face, a name, a story like Mercy's.
So please, before we get into it, I just want to add some more because she was one of the returnees that was speaking at a press conference. She said that the last place she was before she was rescued, she was originally employed to care for her employer's mother and do house chores. But then eventually they started locking her in before they went out. They locked the outside door, they locked the gate door. She was basically locked in and prevented from leaving. That's not the worst of it. Then nurses started visiting monthly to take Mercy's blood. Okay, wait. Maybe she thought it was maybe routine health checks and treating her, taking care of an elderly woman. No, my dear sister Lolo. The blood that they were drawing was actually for them to give to the woman, to the old woman that she was taking care of. Wow. They found out apparently that they wanted her blood matches, that it matched with the mother, the elderly woman that she was taking care of, and that her employer was transfusing her blood to cater for the medical needs of the mother that she had been employed to take care of.
Did you not see my mouth open?
Yeah, I saw it.
We have discussed this irregular migration so many times. I've personally met returnees. I've heard horrendous stories. But I just keep thinking that, their lure of my own story will be different. I think that's the thing that keeps them in that chokehold. Like, oh, don't worry. Even if there's going to be one success story, it will be me. I'll get to Europe and everything will work out. I don't know if we should tell them. Even if you get abroad,
Yeah.
do you know their streets are not paved of gold?
Yeah.
If you do not have the right papers to work in any country that you go, you will suffer. Even in UK.
Yeah.
And you know, as you talk about streets are not paved with gold, I remember when we first got to the U.S., a famous bridge in the U.S. is the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, and we were making this family trip. And my mother always says she heard it was the Golden Gate Bridge, and she expected the bridge to be gold. And you know, there's so much, because let's talk about social media, Hollywood, movies, just make it seem like anywhere outside, particularly the US or the West, is the gold line street. You walk there, you pick money up, but it is not. And so whether it's you are a irregular migrant, which puts another particular type of spotlight on you, or you're just a migrant and you went regularly, the struggle there is real. But what I think, I feel like we're the ones missing the plots here. Mercy should be taken around secondary schools. We need to use those who have come back, who are willing to share their stories, to be the ones who tell their stories.
Yeah.
You know, I talk about my people. Where is my agency? Because remember a time when Edo State was the state that was particularly highlighted as a point of origin, hotspot. And there's a lot of conversation they did. Was it documentaries or public service announcements? You know, but I don't seem to see that anymore. I don't see the public service announcements that are warning you about what happens with irregular migration. I don't see it in multiple languages. It's not just Edo State now. Everybody's Japaising. But where is the intentionality?
Even if there is intention, sorry, Dashin, even if there is intentionality, like Lolo says, there's always, and even if you take her around secondary schools across the country, there are people who will still tell you that my case will be different. And the students, the children in the schools will go back home to their parents and say, okay, maybe this is not what I want to do. And the parents say, Lila, you must go, you must do this. Anyhow you go is a going. So most people go on visas that are meant for something else, like tourism. You're going to visit and come back, and you hear people, even under certain discussions on social media, you hear someone say, I have 6 months, I will just disappear.
Yeah.
I have 6 months. Yes, I remember that. Abiola Aloba posted something, was saying the new requirements for travel. If you want to go to the UK, 6 months visa, 2 years, 5 years, and all of that. And under his post, there was someone saying that, me, if I even get 6 months, I go see Jakpa. I go still lost.
The worst thing is, even if everyone that jackpot came back to say, jackpotting is not the way, or we did not enjoy it at all, it's better for us to stay at home. It will not serve as deterrent. People will still want to go and try their luck. And, Nigerians have this mentality, anywhere aside Nigeria is better than Nigeria.
But everywhere,
So Nigerians are everywhere, and then most of them, you're talking about Libya. Libya in itself, it
has been in a state of war since the Gaddafi was killed.
So why would you want to go to Libya? We've heard so many stories. I personally know of some of the girls who have actually gone there, and in fact, how they've been treated as house helps. Never good stories in Libya in itself. So these young girls, I think they need to be educated.
We need more public service. We need more announcements.
We need more education.
Now, everybody just talks about in pockets, or if you're privileged to be in a setting or where this is being discussed. This is something that we need to open our mouth and speak out about. Because it is when these kinds of things happen that you will now see more stories coming out.
Some people probably had set out to go to Europe.
And
ended up in Libya.
Libya is just part of the transit. It's part of the route.
So they get stuck in Libya, and people who have alternative grandiose ideas are the ones that take the women and get them into slavery of some sort or the other. Their original destination was in India.
Yes, sir.
Wasn't Libya.
They're being trafficked on a daily basis.
So, I'm actually surprised at the numbers that the International Organization of Migration reported in terms of how many women and girls are going. So first of all, they said at least 20,197 Nigerians stranded in various countries were voluntarily returned to the country as of March 2025. Don't forget, we spoke about the fact that even though some of those were voluntarily returned, once they stabilize, they will try another way again. So it's almost like you're just brought back into the country to just find your footing again, just relax, and then you're doing it again. But then the report also stated that women and girls constitute nearly 88% of returnees, while men account for 13%. And I always just sort of thought that irregular migration wore a male face, but apparently not. And then don't forget that it's also, I go back to Edo State because I remember a time when Edo State was on the front burner of these conversations. And you always have one aunt come back and say, don't worry, let me take my sister, I'll take her, I'll do this, I'll do that. And I just never thought 88%. Irregular migration for men is so different than irregular migration for women.
Yep.
The chances of sexual exploitation and assault rise when you hear the horror stories, but it's not enough. And I don't think we're not the ones, we will not pretend on this table that we don't understand why young Nigerians are leaving.
I would have to say that Mercy is even lucky that, you know, it's just a blood that's being taken. So many other people were not fortunate. Some of them,
they were killed. Families will never know what happened to them.
You know,
organ trafficking is rife.
It's rife in Libya.
In a lot of countries now that I say we need to just be as vocal as we can be and tell them the downsides to these things. We know the country is tough, but do you know that everybody that I've seen that have Jakpada, do you know there is the Jakpada
trend now as well?
That people are coming back home. I met people, at least one or two people in the UK that said they had a lot going for them, and I won't lie, the ones I met blamed their wives. That he left a very good job to come and sit down with her here, and he hasn't found his footing yet, and it's 2 years. And he would rather come back home and quickly pick up the pieces before everything unravels. So we keep telling people that you need to know that your country sometimes is better than the known. Sometimes it's better than that unknown. That people lie to you and make you feel as if, every country you go to, they paint it in a kind of color. If you go to this America we're talking about, there are still countries, there are still states that when you see the amount of destitute on the street, I tell people, I said, abroad, you are one payment away from being homeless.
Yes.
Here in Nigeria, you can still go and beg your landlord and say, just give me 6 months, give me 3 months. 3 months.
You're 3 days away from having your stuff on the front lawn.
Takes us on the break. A friend of mine, I was talking to him, and he said that his sister had to call their dad to help her pay her rent because she was behind and she was going to be kicked out.
But Nigerians will tell you that is still better than entering your car and not knowing, is it one chance you're going to run to? Is it a crazy police officer you're going to run into? Is it a truck that's going to run into you?
They will tell you that it's better.
So when you weigh it, that unknown, we reverse the devil you know is better than the angel you know. We reversed it in Nigeria because of our Nigerian experiences. Dash, you wanted to say something very quickly.
I was going to say, at least in Nigeria, you know your rights. You have rights, and you can, you know. You have.
We know that you have the right.
We know you have the right, but the enforceability of the rights will come.
Just say
even immigrants
in Nigeria, you can talk back, and you can, when they're talking, you talk.
What?
That's also part of the
Some
right
people will
now.
tell you can't talk back. What are you saying? Lolo, take us on it, because this level that they want to go, I'm not there with them.
Anyway, you see how Jasiri usually is. Very interesting conversations we have. Yes, we're starting off heavy, but the truth is Nigeria is heavy for many of us. We have to sit and have the uncomfortable conversations because truths need to be told. Let's take a break, but when we do come back, the NYSC DG is encouraging Nigerian students to become investors and job creators. But does this message read the room when it comes to NYSC? Honestly, I want to have this conversation so desperately, but it will be after the break.
So no gist us this gist.
Okay, so the Director-General of the National Youth Service Corps, Brigadier General Olakunle Nafiu, this week in Nigeria called on Nigerian graduates to stop limiting themselves to job seeking and instead evolve into job creators, investors, and globally certified professionals. Now, according to him, professional skills and certifications add far more value to graduates than just a degree. The DG was speaking at the 4th meeting of the NYSC with heads of professional and regulatory bodies. Now, he reminded everyone that for 52 years, the NYSC has been about national unity and preparing young people for service. But now the focus is also shifting to entrepreneurship, ethical leadership, and global competitiveness.
With what?
Say it. Finish the story.
But while the DJ is talking about empowerment, integrity, and creating opportunities for the future, the situation on the ground tells another story. Many have called for the NYSC to be reviewed and reworked, while on the extreme, others have called for it to be completely scrapped. I think the NYSC needs to prioritize creating safer structures for core members before talking about job creation and entrepreneurship. But who is even doing the training on entrepreneurship and ethical leadership? How is that being inculcated into the core members? Anyway, let's take a look at some of the reactions that we'll be back on the table to discuss.
Many of our youth don't even need convincing because half of them are already deep into content creation, from skit making to TikTok dancing, podcasting to prank videos. They've turned ring lights and Wi-Fi into full-blown ATM machines. They're busy monetizing their personalities. Oh, here we go again. Just be an entrepreneur. In a country where power goes off 10 times a day, bank apps crash mid-transfer, and investors treat local startups like charity cases. Stop gaslighting Nigerian graduates. They don't lack hustle. They're surviving a system designed to bury them. Joke's on us. How can you be an investor when you have not successfully fought stomach infrastructure, aka hunger? Instead of providing an enabling environment and paying graduate salary for feeding so they can think about ideas that will create jobs. I apologize. With what are we going to invest with? Is it with the stipend the government is paying? The government is trying, but they should not try to stress it too much. Investors and job creators in a hostile environment like Nigeria, you're a civil servant feeding on the government heavily, sir. Lead by example and resign to start a business. Start a farm and herdsmen will either kill you or chase you away. Start poultry and cost of feeding, inadequate market, multiple government levies and hostile communities will kill you. Open a retail business shop and shops and sales staff will steal all your money. Government levies, store burglars, thieves, etc. Let's take one more. They just wake up and start saying things as if they don't know what is happening in this country. How exactly is a Nigerian graduate supposed to become an investor? With which money? Even survival itself is already an investment. So, we said, I always say, lack of reading the room, and there's just a tone deafness in some of the things that we hear from politicians and political appointees. When I read this story, I had to double check. I even went to NYSC's Facebook page and said, let me be sure that it's not a headline that was extrapolated to just, let us run wild. And these are direct quotes. And you wonder how. So NYSC is 50-something years old, started to start national unity. People have been asking for it to be reworked and reviewed. So was there a reworking and a review that we did not know about? Because all of a sudden he's talking about entrepreneurship and ethical leadership in the 3 weeks that they're in camp. Please, when did that start?
They probably feel that 77,000 naira that the core members are being
What are they saying? Do you know?
Equivalent to 10 million.
Do you know what it takes? Even that money they pay them, by the time you remove the cost of transportation and
living for many
minus
of them.
feeding. Do you know many of them in strange communities, they have to actually pay for accommodation. Gone are those days that people will just give you spaces because you are core members. Now you have to strive and struggle and hustle like every other person. They have these grandiose ideas, and I'm wondering who is feeding them to them. What even makes them think that everybody needs to be an entrepreneur?
And that's true. That's a bad message to actually send out.
Because now we are forcing people to do business at all costs.
That don't have business
and the enabling environment is not even there. No matter what you say you want to tell, all of us on this table, there's nobody that's not doing one thing or the other to add. And I can tell you, the business terrain is not for the faint-hearted.
Someone had said so that when there are things that are working against you on a daily basis, we've sat on this table and we've had conversations about not making vocational training or vocations being more appealing to Nigerians. So saying that, okay, these are options. You mustn't always think that, okay, it is universities or it is polytechnics or it is... vocational training should be a headline. You haven't told Nigerians that Nigerians have figured it out on themselves. They are content creators. Everyone's doing 2 or 3 things in addition to their main job. Others are side squeezes, but they're using that to augment. They're already doing this, and then you come in 52 years. You're saying that this is the only lame thing NYSC can come up with. I am part of those that said, you know what, it's okay. NYSC just go to bed.
Honestly, they need to
just go to
repurpose
bed.
For
it's
me.
Done. There's
Even
no,
if they don't scrap it, they need to repurpose it because it is about unity.
Hi.
All that one is old.
Tell me, it's about unity. It's old school because now, if they sent your son now to go to Maiduguri, for
which
example,
Maidu what?
Voila.
Maiduguri.
You don't know Maidu, no
everything to reward the
Maiduguri
child.
is peaceful.
I know it might be peaceful to you, but for me on the in the south,
with everything you've
with
heard
everything
about
I've heard, the north, I just put it in one big handkerchief.
Yes.
And you are all, and I know at least 3 of my friends who their children did not go to NYSC because they were what was posted to Niger. She said no. Another one, maybe Nasarawa or so, he said no.
And it's not
Even
just, and I think we
safe.
also need to realize it's not just about the safety issues.
Yeah.
When they even get to these postings, have you seen where some of them are expected to stay? There has to be a standard. If you want NYSC to continue, to rework it, there has to be investment, there has to be a repurposing, there has to be a retooling. And I suspect that half the people who are running things now have to go because their minds cannot open enough to give us an NYSC that will truly serve a national purpose.
Knock on wood on that.
I've always been a supporter of NYSC and all that because when I served, I had fun. I served.
Where did you serve?
Open State.
Why would you have fun in Open State? What do you mean?
I had to pay for my accommodation and do other things, but it was
You paid from your allowance?
Yes, I did.
You were able to pay your accommodation
and
from your allowance.
And I was into a little business as well. I'm trying to say. It was fun. Everyone was nice. I enjoyed myself. In fact, I didn't feel like going back to the north.
That's why you're still in Lagos.
Back then.
Or we get back to Lagos.
Yeah, but that was actually back then. The more I keep seeing some of these headlines about and I keep seeing stories about NYSC, the more I agree with Lolo. Saying I think it has outlived its purpose and it needs to be rejigged or scrapped.
Exactly, because we're spending money on it every year. And even, do you know that even the students, I'm talking about the young graduate that you push into NYSC, they're already disillusioned from the get-go.
Oh, yeah.
Many of them don't want to go.
The disillusionment starts from university.
Of course. We keep talking about these skills acquisition and things. This is something that we should inculcate. But do you know what every parent is doing now?
Into
that. Let's know that, for your NYSC year, it was a year you learned photography and you became the best artist. That the likes of Oshalusi were the ones that were training all around the camp. That that NYSC year was the year you became a professional hairdresser. When you learned all the skills, that one year you learned to crochet.
Look forward to.
You will know that this is the valuable thing.
And then you find a way to invest in maybe the top 5 or some kind of way in which to acknowledge that, okay, these people, they come up with a business plan.
Yes.
They are taught how to write business plans. Maybe the best 2 or 3 business plans from every cap or sometimes. Maybe is it 500,000? They give funding. You also need to work with corporations because let's be honest, we have a lot of NYSC, but we put them to use. But in some places, they're getting coffee and going out to bring amala.
Of course.
They're not getting the training. They're not getting adequate on-the-job training or on-the-job skills to upset them. And the thing he says, it's not necessarily so bad. But again, it is a lack of reading the room, being tone deaf, and context to it. Because this idea of investors and job creators should not start from NYSC. It should be starting from university. We've been talking about the fact that our universities are not meeting the country's needs. And a lot of people do not. They're coming out of a university and NYSC. They don't even plan on working for anybody. But some of them, they start businesses and in 2-3 years, the businesses are folding up.
Of course.
Why? Where's the skills? Where's the training?
The environment.
Mentoring them in business.
Do you know how many companies employ NYSC members and they now have to retrain these children?
Yeah.
I know many of them that you will wonder that did you pass through school at all?
Yeah. Or school passed through
you. Or the school passed through you. Many of the companies that they work with have to now train them like
they have
to retrain them.
All over
and they're wondering that, okay, what did these children really learn?
And that's why you hear people say that you have children or students who graduate but are not employable. These are the issues.
And they did this National Youth Service and they put a lot of you need it on. There are so many jobs
you can't get without a certificate or exemption.
If you don't have NYSC or you have an exemption.
Anyway, that's a conversation for another day because I was going to say that, but that has to do with if you're in the civil service. Like I said,
no, even companies. Some of the companies, a lot of companies are careful with it.
All right, so I've been waiting for this conversation, and now we'll get into it. But that will be after the break. Do you know that what we call billing could land you in jail or lead you to pay heavy fines for your freedom. Gang, gang. The locals is obtaining by false pretense. But there's also breach of promise to marry. And now people are using the law to get what? Justice. Interesting conversations. These are coming up right after the break.
We're having so much fun on this show today, and our next conversation is not a new one per se. And many would be shocked as to, how far cases of obtaining under false pretense in relationships can actually go in this country. Now, I can tell you that there was Uso versus Iketubosin in 1975, and the court held that a boyfriend's conduct constituted a breach of promise to marry, and the aggrieved girlfriend was entitled to damages. So the Supreme Court even got involved in the case of Eziena versus Atta. Now, this week, the police public relations officer of the Rivers State Police Command shared some advice on what is called obtaining under false pretense. Let's watch this.
Collect transport fare from a man without going to see him is an offense. A punishable offense is obtaining money under false pretense. 419. I am here to give you this piece of information because I am your #1 bestie. My name is SP Grace Iringekoko, the Police Public Relations Officer for the Rivers State Police Command. Thank you.
Okay, let's continue. Now, the PPRO's video comes after a young woman was fined 450,000 naira and also given the option of 7 years in prison for collecting 50,000 naira from a man to go and meet him, and she failed to show up. The young lady, whose name is Jennifer, says that the young man involved, Emmanuel, was someone she knew from online and doesn't really know him very well. He wanted her to come, but she asked that he come to see her first. There was all this back and forth on who would visit who first, and she said that he sent her 50,000 naira out of the blue, texting her that it was for her transportation. She actually belittled the 50,000 naira and said where would it take her since she was in Asaba and he was in Abuja. She ignored him, and when he was expecting her but didn't see her, he sent her a message. She said his friends then started calling her and threatening her that she had collected money from their guy. She then asked for his account details to return the money, but according to her, he refused. She said she reached out again a few days later for him to be the one to come since he had sent the money and refused to take it back. She said she said if she went and something happened to her, he harmed her, she would still be the one blamed. Now, she says the case has been settled. Listen to this.
450,000 obviously is nothing to me. It's not. That was why I was surprised when he sent me 50,000 naira for transport. People that are saying it's not 30,000 he sent. He sent me 50,000 naira. I'm not going to deny it. Yes, but I already paid him the 450,000. I know that this one now is the new strategy people want to use, and you people want to use and be extorting women. But I mean, we're equal to the task. Do you understand?
Yes, I understand.
Are you equal to the task?
Yes, I understand. Right, so we'll likely see more of these situations as people realize they can seek for some kind of restitution and justice. And so what did we do? We asked Nigerians what they thought about this issue. Here is Jasiri on the streets.
No, I don't know that the law exists in Nigeria. I'm just hearing it for the first time. It's a normal relationship problem. You cannot call that a fraud because they have mutual agreements in between them before. They have a relationship.
If they are actually in a relationship, the guy will not take the lady to court. But there is another business involved. So whatever the business that is involved, it is a fraud.
They know each other. They started dating. So it's not today he met the lady or something. His relationship is not fraud.
It's a crime because one, it's like fraud. Like before you asking the man for money, both of you must have agreement. Because you have chats. Both of them have chat for maybe like 2 or 3 months. Because the man cannot just send you money at first instance. Say he wants to see you and you just follow. There must be an agreement and a conversation that led to come over. I feel the court should at least let her pay the money that she collected. instead of charging her.
It's not fair because 7 years in imprisonment is a very long way. And the guy should show mercy. He doesn't know what came up. Maybe the lady had an issue. That's why she did not show up.
Okay, a guy invited you and you sent money to the lady. The lady can, she explained to you she cannot meet up. Why won't you also collect the money back from her? Or why you want to sue her to court? It does not make sense by collecting the money from her.
They should have tampered justice with mercy. Because maybe, though they say that ignorance is not an excuse in the law, but since she did not know, they're supposed to have maybe looked into it very well.
Billing culture is actually coming from the fact that other people think they are entitled to people's money. When you understand that this money belongs, even when people promise you that, okay, I'm promising you this, you should understand that there might be cases where all are humans, whereby the person will not be able to meet up with whatever it is that they've pledged. Just move on.
My opinion, woman should stop collecting money from a guy. If you know, like, your guy sent you money, so come and sing, come over, and you cannot meet up, tell him you can't meet up.
Before you send money to somebody, you're supposed to at least get used to the person, know the person very well before you send money.
Women should be very careful from the men they collect money from. If they know they are not going to show up, they should just don't collect any money from the men. So then the men too, they should be wised up. As in, they shouldn't invite someone they don't know before transferring money or sending money to the person.
It has been happening. So this will not stop it.
Crazy things are indeed happening. In October 2024, 25-year-old Victoria F. Young was arraigned before a Lagos magistrate's court for allegedly refusing to marry a suitor after collecting 2.8 million from it. We spoke about it then when it happened. She was charged with a breach of peace, cheating, and obtaining by false pretense. She admitted to receiving an iPhone and another smaller phone, money and other stuff, but insisted, she told Dominica Sukwo, to stop sending her money because she was uncomfortable and said he knew she was dating someone else. And there was also the case of a 6-year-old Mr. Charles in October 2019 who was charged with defrauding a widow of 150,000 naira and other valuables worth about 600,000 on the pretext of marrying her. Okay. So these cases are becoming, the case law is increasing.
But don't you find what Jennifer said interesting, that this looks to be like the new thing, the new way, and that women are up to the task? And I was telling you guys during the break, so a lot of men will likely be able to prove their case because, you know, there are receipts, they buy things. But I'm asking for women, how do you prove what you have brought to that relationship? How do you prove the time you've spent? I'm so sorry, too many girls, I think they spend too much time doing wife duties, auditioning to be wife. You're cooking for him, you're doing his laundry, you're going to the market, you're sleeping with him. How do you quantify that in a situation in which maybe somebody has promised you marriage, and so there's obtaining under false pretense, but breach of promise to marry is also something that it falls under that. So somebody promises you marriage and you're already behaving like a wife, and then he pulls the rug out from under you and says, who are you? Did I propose to you? Have you met my family? And so you want to sue him. He might be able to prove the things he's put into a relationship, but how do you quantify the time that a lot of women end up putting into relationships? I know what value do you place on it?
I know someone now that a man is telling that until you get pregnant, I would marry you. Look, they do and they have been dating each other for like 4 years.
She needs to drop, kick, but to the curb.
Just like Tolu said, imagine if in the past 4 years, the man has been sending her this and that. But I know that she too has been going, caring for him, washing his clothes,
helping with his
family, doing his upkeeping his house, you know, doing chores, doing things, giving her body. You know, all those things are there. So imagine, he sues her for obtaining by false pretense. She counter-sues for
the same thing.
To marry. Because you even blame some of the women who ask you to pay for their time before you even start chatting with them.
Are you paying per time?
Before you start chatting with them, you need to pay a certain amount, especially online. Yes. There was a lady that I saw yesterday. I think they said she charges men 6,000 naira, no, $6,000 for them to even,
go on a date. I think I saw it where she says that the money is for her makeup, her transport, the clothes she's going to wear.
Women do that.
And so it sieves out. She says it sieves out on serious people.
But as far as I'm concerned, I told a very thin line here. I am asking people. I said we have to weigh these things carefully. We're talking about when women make themselves out like, okay, you have to pay.
You're a commodity
for my service. That is like commodifying yourself. It's, as far as I'm concerned, it's like prostitution. You are invitation to treat. In law, when you want to buy something, you have to give consideration. It doesn't matter the amount. The law just wants you to give something. So even if it's 5 naira. So if women are making themselves like transactional, if their relationships become transactional, then that means they can no longer call it a relationship. We have to find another modern term for it.
I think it's a contract. I think every relationship is some form of contract.
So if that is what it
and
is,
deliverables.
That means every time you meet a guy, you just bring a form and let them read your terms and conditions
and agree
and if they agree on it, you sign, and everybody enters into an agreement. Because a relationship is a bit different from how I would define
and there
it.
can also be a
something
non-disclosure agreement as well.
that you want to marry or you want a relationship to go into. So if it's going to be that, then let's be in the new age and know that this is a contract. You've signed my contract, and these are the terms I put in. You have to pay 6,000 naira. You agree to it, and every 2 dates you have to pay X amount of money. So that means.
But I want Catherine to ask, what do you think came first? This was like a chicken and egg, because I personally believe this is like this is another phase of this situation. I don't think it necessarily started off with women. Unfortunately, I think it actually started off with men using money as a lure. And then women and girls caught on. And then they say, okay, so you want to put money on the table, let me then take
so sometimes it works for men. Men like it, they feel like it's prestige. It's like going to a club and you're going to
popping
VIP.
bottles.
Yeah, so you're taking it to VIP section, everywhere is lush, everywhere is, it's upgraded, it's Pro Max. So I think it's both men and women, and I'll explain. Men and women, because men will use the money to draw you in. Okay, we had Nedu as a guest here, and he was saying, he was breaking it down. A man would have a budget for any woman that
they will look at you and calculate how much they think you're worth.
And knows that, imagine if the man sends that Jennifer, if the man sends her 150K, she wouldn't be speaking here, she would be in Abuja. So imagine if she had gone to Abuja now, and the man would look at her and smile and know that, okay, so when you're leaving, he gives you another 150K, but in his mind, it's all done, it's over. But this new breach of, this new legal dimension is very interesting to me, because whether we like it or not, people are going to have to take accountability, take responsibility. Anything you want to do, just know that you need to document it somehow. If you want to document your time and say between 10:55 and 7:55 p.m., between 10:55 a.m. and 7:55 p.m., I was in Emeka Chukwudi's house. These neighbors can testify. If you want to do it manually, I'm serious. Whether we like it or not, these are things we have to take responsibility for. Dashin, you say there's someone who says 6K for opening prayer. In the sense, like before I say hello, how are you, 6K. You'll be shocked at how many people would pay that.
Okay, let's go on a break.
We're actually not done with this conversation at all. So, but just stay with us. We will be right back.
Honestly, you are missing. I wish there was a way we can help you hear what we say when we're not.
No, that's why sometimes you might give, but no,
that would be premium.
Yes, you must pay for that content.
We're trying to distinguish and tell you what the state of the law is. With this breach of promise to marry, and of course, obtaining by false pretenses. If everybody knows this case law and they know that this is a law, maybe everybody would, hold themselves back a little, because I want to see more people come to court. Honestly,
no, to test the laws. The laws, the laws need to be changed. I would say that.
No, imagine how wonderful it is. Breach of, in this court A, you are being sued for
obtaining other false pretenses.
Court B, you are suing you are counter suing for breach of promise to marry.
So let's quickly talk about breach of promise to marry. So it is actually a legitimate claim under Nigeria's laws, and it occurs when one party fails to fulfill their promise to marry the other without justification. Now, there are a few things that must meet, that must be met for this to happen. Two key elements. One is the existence of a promise, and that is the party must demonstrate that there is a clear and unambiguous promise to marry that was made. Then that could be letters, engagement rings, or even official introductions. Then there's a breach of promise. The party must also prove that the other party reneged on their promise without justification. Now, this particular breach of promise to marry is governed under the Nigerian Contract Act, Matrimonial Causes Act, as well as Evidence Act 2003. But come here, let's go to this part. To prove breach of promise to marry, you do need evidence. One of the evidence that you need is documents like pictures or recordings that demonstrate the existence of a promise to marry, letters or messages affirming the promise, and even testimony from witnesses. All that's
Yeah.
Stop it.
Then
if the court
videos when they were our wife.
Let me finish. Now, if the court finds in favor of the aggrieved party, it may award damages for financial losses, expenses incurred as a result of the promised marriage, emotional distress, that's psychological trauma and emotional pain suffered, and also injury to reputation, damage to the party's reputation due to the broken promise. And then, of course, we had mentioned some of the notable cases going as far back as 1975. So don't think that this is a new thing. And even there was a case, as Dashin mentioned, that went all the way up to the Supreme Court. So we've dealt with this. So now, ladies, let's come back, because I think at the end of the day, what we're seeing is all a consequence of some things that are happening, whether it's social media or not. Catherine, go ahead.
No, I think before it reaches here, now that people have seen the full extent and the gravity and the long arm of the law, I think before it gets here, they'll be saying,
I bet I don't want to give me money.
It's not that deep. I did not ask you. I didn't invite you. My friends don't know you.
But do you know that there are always ways to circumvent the law?
Of course.
Yesterday I was watching this O.J. Simpson thing. And you say, I keep telling people that even if you're shouting, do you know that in the law court, sometimes truth is not the object. It's being able to prove beyond reasonable doubt that something, as long as you can create a doubt that this could not have happened, you might get away with so many things.
If you're very
get away with so many. And I see girls saying, "Don't send me money, send it to Catherine." And Catherine becomes party to the matter. And you say, purchase of bag. So that I say, you bought a bag from Catherine. Catherine is a bag vendor.
Here's the receipt to show that
there's the receipt. You bought a bag.
And gifts. But no, it still comes under gifts. And purchase of, it's just a cloudy area.
No. You bought a bag from her. How does that mean that it came to me?
I'm even more interested in the emotional distress thing, because so many people have been damaged, due to
broken promises, broken relationships.
Spending 15 years with a particular person, and then the person ends up marrying someone they just met 3 months ago.
They never just met them.
Are you sure?
I don't think so. Some people are always on the horizon.
They just
in the shadows, in the curtains. But let's not sideline. Let's go on.
So many people have also lost their lives due to this, and I think people need to stop playing with other people's emotions.
I don't think people really understand. I think they just say, "I want to marry you," and you come and meet my family. There's a letter.
I don't see people that
you write a letter, a formal letter showing your intent, and then there's an introduction. And then maybe somewhere along the line you say, "Listen, I can't do it anymore." And you say, "I'm taking you to court because I can't do it anymore." I don't think we understand the full extent of that. I'm not even sure that people understand or know that you can be taken to court for it.
I know this particular episode is going to come to a lot of people as maybe surprised, not necessarily shocked, but surprised that it's actually very much a thing, has been a thing for a while. And now I suspect with social media we're going to see a lot more of it. Coming back to that social media, let's be honest, because this obtaining, let's go back. You talked about urgent 2K while we were on a break before this story. This obtaining under false pretense is happening so much on social media. But we also know that it's also coming about because some selling is happening on social media. How are they selling again, Lolo?
Hi.
everybody, are you gonna, and the dresses they're wearing,
Yes.
everything is, now
listen
everybody jiggles everything. You don't need to wear any kind of undergarment for support, just jiggle what God gave
And
you.
sell.
And sell. You see this bag, it's so lovely. Buy it, it's nice.
And thank
of
me
course, the
later.
people that are in your DM to buy
the
whatever they are
dash,
selling, they are willing.
Please,
And
we
they-
are see. Let me tell you, we are equal opportunity shaders because this thing that Lola is doing, there are ways that men do it. I remember when Get Ready With Me became a men thing, and I opened the
my
phone,
dear people,
and I'm
get
looking at somebody wanting to do Get Ready With Me in their underwear, and I'm seeing a print, and I'm like, what's going on? In that print,
And the straight face,
That's it. Must do it. The straight face that comes with that Get Ready With Me with men. I don't know whether they think it's cute or it shows that they're just so serious. Some people like
wearing
serious,
Speedos.
They set their face a certain way, pocket their lips, and just
burn their perfumes and like.
and then when they finish the Get Ready, they stand in front of the camera with just a look like that. Like, and I want you to
You're not their market.
Of late,
Which one?
the athletic ones. Oh my God.
The six-packing ones.
Yeah, they run in the mornings and put their face in cold water.
That's why
and you're
it's
like,
and they have a
can
look.
I buy what
This
you
is
are
where
selling,
they say-
please? Even they said the water that guy sold, he sold that.
What a Friday on Jesse, guys. What a Friday. What a Friday. On this show, we heard.
Catherine, please take us out effectively.
No, we must all do what Lola is doing.
Take us out effectively.